What's going on, guys?
Hello.
Another episode brought to you by Investment Realtors Podcast. Go to Realtors Podcast. We got in some questions from our viewers, just kind of wanting us to do, I guess, a little question and answer. So we're going to start off with the first one, Lewis. If you could go through strategies on how to list and price your property for, the upcoming maybe spring market.
Okay. Well, actually, this is a question that obviously everybody who lists a house asks, and it always comes up, and it's kind of the strategy of how to list a property.
Yes.
Do you want like the problems of overlisting, underlisting, not holding off offers, holding off offers? So I guess you have to break it down on buyer versus seller's market.
Yeah, like the do's and don'ts on what can you do to, maximize maybe it's not such a hot market like we've seen in COVID. Yeah. And now it's more of maybe a buyer's market. So a lot more kind of inventory to choose from, which kind of doesn't leave sellers, wanting these crazy no conditions type of frenzy.
So I'll just break down like what the difference is. Buyers, so in the seller's market is what we've seen during like that big boom of COVID.
So a lot of inventory, over asking, no conditions.
Tons of buyers. Yes. Tons of buyers, and the inventory was kind of even. Mm-hmm. So when there's a lot of buyers in it, like if there's one apple and 10 people want it, the price goes up.
Of course.
It's the same thing with houses.
Supply
and demand, right? So what the strategy a lot of people did in a seller's market, because in a seller's market, obviously the seller has the upper hand.
Of course.
Is let's say the average house was selling for $1 million.
Yeah. Okay.
They would probably list it a little bit below $1 million, right? And what that does is it brings in people who have a lower budget into that property.
So that's not really a good way of marketing something, because then you're getting a lot of people who
you would think that
potentially couldn't afford it.
Exactly. So you would get people that go to see it when their budget's a little bit lower. But what that does is every single time an offer is added to the table, what happens is that's extra negotiating power for the seller.
That's true. That's
so
true.
A lot of realtors, ourselves included, we would do offer hold-offs. So we would list it, let's say on Monday. And next Monday, after one full week, we would host an offer night. And what happens is because you kind of listed it either at market value or a little bit below, and more people came to see it, more people put in an offer, that leverage now switched to the sellers.
So you're kind of building up even more of a demand on something that's already got a lot of.
It's like a house of cards, basically.
That's fair.
It's a lot of people think it's an unjust way to do it. The problem is that even if you list it at the market price, which a lot of people did, right?
Yeah.
Just having extra demand on that house raises the price anyways. It's just the factors of supply and demand.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's not that you're. Because at the end of the day, people list houses on subjective prices anyways.
Of course. It's what you think it's worth and what it means to you. I mean, it might have sentimental. An improvement you've done. Whatever. So
how many clients have we had where we tell them what their house is worth,
absolutely,
but from sentimental value or what they've
done,
they've done,
their kid's first step there. Of course. So what would be the difference then on if you had the offer date of that particular property and then a preemptive offer date? Are those the same or are they kind of different?
Okay, so with preemptive offers, very similar to holding up an offer date, what a lot of agents would do is they'll have an offer date, let's say a week later.
Okay.
But they will entertain a preemptive offer.
So kind of like a bully offer, I guess.
And what happens is agents will come in knowing full well what it's probably going to end up selling for because of Because at the end of the day, in a seller's market, whatever you list the property at, it's not a real number.
That's fair.
It's like it's a suggestion number because everybody knows what the last 3-bedroom bungalow on this street sold for, right?
That's fair.
So a bully offer comes in. Let's say the last 2 sold for 1.3. Okay. This house is very similar, but he knows the last 2 had 15 offers on it. He could come in preemptively with a bully offer of, let's say, 1.35. Right? And he probably is coming in with no conditions of finance, no conditions of inspection, no conditional, whatever the closing date the seller wants. He'll come in and do that. And that's what a bully offer is. It's a preemptive above ask with very little conditions or none.
So really, there's very little protection for the buyer. It's all at the seller's mercy.
In the seller's market, it's at the buyer's. Like he is completely going out there, and the problem is he's competing with so many other buyers.
Yeah, that is a tough one. So I guess kind of to what you already said. So when you're going to list the house, what's the risks of maybe overpricing a house in the seller's market versus the buyer's market?
Overpricing in a seller's market, believe it or not, actually it can be a detriment for the seller, because even though it's going to be multiple offers and a lot of people are coming, if you start off your price higher than any other one has sold,
yes,
even with all these buyers, they might just not come to your property because they think either A, you're completely unrealistic, you might be unreasonable to work with, and you might be shooting for the stars when you shouldn't be, right?
But if there's a lack of inventory, even with an overprice, like I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
It could happen. It happens.
And we have seen it where, it's overpriced and there's still some poor person that's, gone above and beyond on what they can afford, what they should have done, and they still purchase it, which is definitely scary. Like we have a lot of clients that did buy right at the peak or right before the peak that now they have bigger mortgages on those properties
100%
because of that, and because of kind of being caught up in the whole I need to buy. I mean, we've also had smart clients that kind of, when everything was going back, let's take a step back from this. Let's regroup. Let's think, because we like to always say the sleep at night number. So, I mean, obviously everything bought in that market is probably overpaid, but what would you be comfortable with when you go to bed at night? It's like, okay, well, even if the market goes down, which we've seen, what's something comfortable that I can still afford? And when the market does correct itself, what kind of profit could I make with that?
It's got to be in your budget.
For sure.
As long as it's in your budget.
For sure.
And look, on a seller's market, there's a lot less risk of overpricing your listing versus a buyer's market.
Well, okay. So now to the flip side of that, so if these houses are pretty much selling by themselves based on that market in the seller's market, is there really a benefit to staging?
That's another good question. In a seller's market, obviously staging in any scenario helps, because what staging does basically is you're decluttering the house.
Of course.
You're lightening up every room and you're opening it up, and you're kind of displaying what the peak potential would be for that room. So a lot of people, they just live their lives in the most convenient way they can.
Course. It doesn't matter how I look.
Yes. Doesn't matter. My couch is here. My TV is there. I got the bed for the dog here. I got the bowl for the dog. Whatever it is, it's how they live. Now, staging, usually most people don't keep their house how it's staged. And the reason is because things are a lot more centralized in the middle. Leaves a lot of walking room around the outside, and everything is kind of, it doesn't matter if your couch is facing the TV or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a look. It's an aesthetic that they're going for in a stage. So at the end of the day, staging is usually a net positive for a listing because it outlines potential of that room. What
about virtual staging? Would that be kind of give the same cause and effect, or is it? Obviously, there's still nothing better than, the bricks and mortar and something physical in that property.
Virtual staging is very nice if you're on a budget, right? And it's kind of like a vacant house.
Okay.
Virtual staging might help. Maybe an older person doesn't want to. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if there's no furniture at all.
Yeah.
So sometimes
what would you recommend? The vacant house?
I would recommend either a vacant house that probably needs work. So virtual staging, I would go with more gut jobs.
That's fair.
Just because
with that virtual staging, wouldn't that be like kind of covering up or like a lipstick on the pig? Or what do? You post the virtual versus what it actually looks like?
You're supposed to do them back to back.
Of course. So that way they it's not that you're selling them something that's not actually there.
Exactly.
Or false pretense. This is what it is. This is the potential. Because I mean, like we know, every listing that has less is more, because at the end of the day, when these potential buyers are coming into your house, they want to envision their couch over there.
Yeah.
They want to envision how their dining room table would look. So when there's too much clutter, it doesn't really help them to kind of get in the space of, okay, this could potentially be mine.
Exactly.
So that's fair.
And there's nothing worse than like seeing pictures online one way
Yeah, of course. And we see the fish lines where it's super big, and then you bring your client there and they're like, well, this was a waste of time. I mean, at the end of the day, when we do listings, we always would like to show the full amount and kind of the opposite. We kind of show all the bad sides of it because this is how it looks. And obviously if you want to come see this property, it's because you know what it has to offer, you know the ups and downs.
We've gone to quite a few listings over the years of a place that's staged or photographed in a way that does not make it, like, it's not real. It's not what it actually looks like, right? So there is some cons to it, because if you're going to see a house on a weeknight after work, you're rushing out to go see a house, you think it's the dream house because of how the pictures are taken.
That's a tough one.
Right? And you get there and it's nothing like the pictures. It's very upsetting.
That's
right?
fair.
It'll change your mind on what to buy.
Absolutely. Okay. And now, so next question. When would you lower an overpriced listing?
Okay. So again, if you come back to buyer versus seller's market,
yep.
Right now we're more in a buyer's market, I would say.
Okay.
There is a lot less buyers. There's less inventory. Right now there's not much inventory. We know that. But there's also a lot less buyers. So what happens is that the buyers now have leverage over the sellers because houses are sitting on the market. Nobody's really willing to go into it, and a lot of it has to do with the mortgage rates right now.
Well, that's just it. It's like these people that we've seen in here, even our clients, it's the ones that are in this market to buy aren't fooling around. They're not footing around. It's, we want to buy something. They know what the interest rate is. They know what they can afford. So, I mean, now all of that pre-COVID and COVID sellers frenzy of, hey, multiples, we're seeing now less money being purchased for these properties with more conditions, as we always have recommended, even in that COVID frenzy.
You always try.
Absolutely.
You always try.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're advising your clients and they're comfortable without the conditions, I mean, problems can and probably will arise. So it's just making sure everybody's on the same page. So with this buyer's market, like you mentioned, you're seeing then more conditions coming in.
You're seeing more conditions.
So would you say that in this market, there's a lot more homes that are overpriced, or would you say that they're priced at what they are and they're still selling for less?
Well, see, here's the problem right now. And a big thing with a buyer's market is days on the market.
Yeah.
So when you overprice a listing, especially in a buyer's market, and it sits on the market for 30, 40, 50 days, every buyer who's working with a realtor is going to be able to look and see how many days it's been on the market.
Of course.
And with that comes negotiating leverage. So it's very important not to overprice your listing in a buyer's market, because all that does is detract any potential buyers from coming to see it.
That's fair.
And getting it off the market. And then by the time you do decide to lower the price,
it's already too late.
It's too late, right?
And you really got the tire kicker. So
and they know. Everybody knows.
You were worried about giving away the farm, and now these people, because I mean, everybody has access, not even just realtors. We've seen on these apps, House Sigmas, the Zillows, the realtors.
If you want to know, you can find it.
Absolutely. I mean, in a declining market, if your neighbor Bob got $1 million, chances are a month later you're going to get less.
You're getting less,
And it's all the percentages. Like, we work our numbers throughout Caledon. I mean, that was another big thing when we were going through the multiples to help our clients gauge what houses would sell for. Is based, what we were doing was a little homework. We would find out how many offers were on a property, what it sold for, and then we would do some quick math to say, okay, after each offer, each offer went up, let's say 2.5, and that was a rough kind of estimate idea, and it did definitely work out. We even actually won some bets with some of our clients who were adamant on stuff selling under, and
quite a few times.
This is what this is going to sell for, and it ended up selling because it's math.
The equation made total sense.
Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie.
So, I mean, in this declining market, it's the opposite of that. You're seeing it's like, okay, well, that $1 million is now not $1 million. So really, when you have an overpriced, stale listing in this market that's not staged, every day
you're losing money.
You're losing money. So, I mean, it's the old saying of you're trying to save a penny and you spend $1. Sometimes you need to know what to do in order to kind of get ahead of something instead of behind it.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, lower the price as soon as you can.
That's fair.
To what the realistic price.
Price it to what it should be.
Yes.
Okay. And now our last and final question that's actually really good. What are some seller myths? So we've heard it all the time. Agents, you're glorified paper pushers. Why are you getting paid so much to do paperwork? Well, I could just sell it myself. Why? What is the difference on a for sale by owner versus paying commission to a licensed realtor who helps you navigate paperwork, properly markets your home, and kind of gets you through the roller coaster ride, like we've always said.
Yeah, it's basically what you said. I mean, one of the biggest myths is being able to sell your house on your own.
But why would you? What myths have we seen where we've had for sale by owners?
Oh, easy. It's easy. Look. Anytime you're doing something you never really do, like selling a house.
Yeah.
Okay. How many times in your lifetime are you selling a house? Most people,
That's true.
It's twice, 3 times
Maybe.
max.
Some people we know they've lived there forever. Yeah.
Yeah. We got a family that's lived in the same house forever, right?
Yeah.
So anytime you're taking on something that you never really do, already from just experience alone, you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah. The
right?
exposure. Yeah.
If you never sell a house and you're listing it by yourself, you're going to have some sharks come in who buy houses a lot.
Take advantage.
They take advantage. They know exactly what it's worth. You might know what you think it's worth,
give or take,
but you don't have the experience that a lot of these people come in and they know how to offer, how to negotiate, what to put in. So right away, experience-wise, selling it by yourself when you don't really do this for a living, you're at a disadvantage, right?
Absolutely.
Your marketing. At the end of the day, nobody markets your house better than MLS. Like the multiple listing service we use through Treb.
That's fair.
There's no like Facebook Market page. You could go.
What about Kijiji?
Kijiji.
What about my own for sale signs in front of my property? Or I'll put it in the newspaper this week.
Newspapers. That doesn't work. The best way to track it is MLS. And it just, us realtors, we have so much different info we could gather off just your MLS listing.
Absolutely.
That people won't be able to do it. Even on apps like House Sigma or Realtor.ca,
you're limited.
They're still not as good as MLS.
Of course.
So knowledge. So experience is one. Knowledge is another.
Yep.
Right? And just, I guess, our ability to just network. Like we have lawyers that we trust.
Absolutely.
We have stagers that we trust.
We have our own buyers that we're ready.
We have buyers ready to go.
Whether it's an exclusive listing or whether we have it coming to the market.
We actually have a fiduciary duty as your agents.
That is correct.
To represent you in the best of our ability legally.
Of course.
So
by
law. And remember, the more money you get for your house, the more money we get paid too. So our job is never to give away the farm, right? We're negotiating everything we can to get clients the best amount of money.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
There's lines of defense. We're one line of defense. You're the other line of defense because you know what you want to sell for.
Exactly.
The lawyer's another line of defense.
Of course, title issues, any liens on the property, mortgage, this, that.
So anytime you have more lines of defense when you're selling your house, the more advantage you're going to have.
Layers to the onion, yeah, for sure.
If it's just you and your lawyer doesn't really have a fiduciary duty to get you the most money. His duty is to sign the paperwork and make sure that the paperwork is done.
That you're protected. There is no kind of monkey business that went on, like any frauds, any liens on the house.
Title and stuff.
There. Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of negotiating, the lawyer isn't there to negotiate price, terms, conditions.
Of course. That's where we come in.
That's where
we're supposed to help in our expertise.
Exactly. So that's probably the biggest myth of a for sale by owner. I mean, at the end of the day, it's your property.
Exactly.
It's your money.
You want to sell it? Let's
do whatever you want. We recommend going through the channels of a realtor, not just because we're realtors,
of course,
but because it just makes more sense that way.
It's proven. It's true. We honestly do stand behind what we believe in. And I mean, at the end of the day, it is the biggest single transaction. It's the biggest asset that you'll own. So, I mean, you want the cheapest surgeon, like we always say, or do you want an experienced realtor who's going to get you the most money?
Yeah. And I mean, still, choose your realtors wisely.
Of course, because there's a lot of sharks in like any other profession, and there are the bad ones that give us all a bad name. But we're there are a lot of us that are family oriented. I mean, we treat it like they're our own family, and we wouldn't do anything that we wouldn't want done to us if we were in the same position.
And actually, we should we're gonna end up doing an episode soon about how to vet your agents properly, like that's a
big one. I mean, and none of this, like we've said, it's not to toot our horn. It's just we're sick and tired of people being taken advantage of. There's so many realtors here in Ontario alone. I think the last time was like 60,000.
It's a lot.
And I mean, let's say maybe at least half of them shouldn't have a license, and it was too easy before. But that's
they don't respect their license at all.
No, it's they treat it like it's this simple, easy thing that without any regard. And we're just trying to educate people. We're trying to help people. And I mean, we love to help people and just to explain to them.
And we love what we do.
Absolutely.
You can't say this job is not a job of passion for us. We really do love it.
Yep.
We come to work. We feel like we're making a difference. And
absolutely.
It's obviously we're earning a living.
Absolutely. And it is fun. I mean, we get to meet all different types of people.
Because we have fun, though.
That is true.
That's us.
That's like
we make it fun.
Every situation. It really is. It's a great time. So, I mean, these were some great questions from some of the viewers. I'm hoping that we'll get some more in.
Yeah, feel free. Like, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you need to know.
Follow.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys on the next one.